The day the aliens arrived changed everything. The massive ship appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit one Monday morning, causing panic across the world. But the aliens sent peaceful messages. They called themselves the Xerelians and wanted to meet with Earth's leaders. After 3 days of careful planning, the United Nations organized a welcome ceremony in New York. Security was tight, as everyone waited nervously for the first aliens to set foot on Earth. Frank Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he straightened his tie. As the United States ambassador to the UN, he had been chosen to greet the visitors first. His heart pounded in his chest. Years of diplomatic training hadn't prepared him for meeting beings from another world. "Relax, sir," said Carol Winters, the Air Force lieutenant assigned to his security detail. "Just treat them like any foreign dignitary." Frank smiled weakly. Except these dignitaries traveled across the stars to get here. The crowd gasped as the alien shuttle descended from the sky. It moved silently, glowing with blue light as it landed gently on the prepared platform. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a door slid open, revealing 3 tall figures. The Xerelians walked with grace despite their unusual appearance. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their 4-fingered hands ended in blunt tips, and their large eyes, completely black, showed no pupils. They wore simple white robes with strange symbols along the edges. Frank stepped forward as practiced. "On behalf of the people of Earth, I welcome you to our world." The tallest alien bowed slightly. "I am Zarthax, lead diplomat of the Xerelian Coalition. We bring greetings and hopes for friendship between our worlds." The alien's voice sounded strange, slightly mechanical. Frank realized they must be using translation devices. The words came out perfectly in English, but the timing seemed off compared to the movement of their thin, lipless mouths. Over the next few weeks, meetings took place daily between human and Xerelian representatives. The aliens seemed peaceful and interested in trade. They offered advanced technology in exchange for certain Earth minerals they claimed were rare in their part of the galaxy. World leaders cautiously agreed to preliminary deals. Carol Winters watched it all with quiet suspicion. Something about the aliens bothered her, though she couldn't explain what. Their politeness seemed too perfect, their interest in Earth too convenient. "Don't you think they're being extra friendly?" she asked fellow security officer Steve Jenkins during a break between meetings. Steve shrugged. "They came across space to meet us. Why wouldn't they be friendly?" "It's not that," Carol said. "It's how they keep asking about our biology, our food, what we drink. It feels like they're studying us, not just getting to know us." "That's literally their job here," Steve laughed, "and we're doing the same to them." Carol tried to push her. Concerns aside, maybe she was being paranoid, but that night she couldn't sleep. She pulled up the security footage from the Xerelian quarters that she wasn't supposed to have access to. For the most part, the aliens simply talked among themselves or reviewed documents. But then she noticed something odd. One of the smaller Xerelians was carefully analyzing bottles of wine, gifts from various Earth nations. The alien wasn't drinking them, but extracting small samples and placing them in a device that glowed with changing colors. The alien made notes after each test. "Why are they so interested in our alcohol?" Carol wondered aloud. The next day, the Xerelians announced they would host a special dinner to mark 1 month since their arrival. They invited 200 important humans, politicians, scientists, and military leaders, to their ship in orbit. It would be the first time humans had been invited aboard. General Alan Russell called Carol into his office that morning. "Lieutenant Winters, you've been selected for the security detail for tonight's event." "Thank you, sir," she replied, surprised. "I didn't expect to be chosen." "Ambassador Miller specifically requested you," Russell explained. "He says you ask good questions. We need people who pay attention up there." Carol nodded. "Sir, I've noticed the aliens seem very interested in our alcoholic beverages. Don't you find that strange?" Russell raised an eyebrow. "They're curious about all aspects of human culture, Lieutenant. Wine is important in many of our ceremonies." "Yes, sir, but they never drink any themselves." They say it's not compatible with their biology, but they keep studying it. Write up your concerns in a report, Russell said dismissively. But don't make trouble tonight. This dinner is important. The journey to the Zarelian ship took place on special shuttles. Carol sat rigidly in her seat, watching Earth grow smaller below them. The massive alien ship grew larger ahead, a structure the size of a small city hovering silently above Earth. Inside, the ship amazed everyone with its beauty. The walls seemed alive with shifting colors, and gravity felt perfectly normal despite being in space. The main hall where dinner would be held featured a huge window looking down at Earth. Zarthax greeted everyone with practiced charm. "We are honored by your presence. Tonight marks the beginning of a long friendship between our peoples." Ambassador Miller smiled broadly. "We feel the same way. The trade agreements we've discussed will benefit both our worlds." The dinner began with speeches from both sides. Humans and Zarelians sat at round tables, though the aliens did not eat the same food as their guests. While humans enjoyed carefully prepared Earth cuisine, the Zarelians consumed small blue cubes that they explained contained nutrients suited to their biology. When the meal ended, Zarthax stood again. "We have prepared a special gift to honor this historic occasion." Other Zarelians wheeled in carts holding hundreds of crystal glasses filled with a red liquid that looked similar to wine, but sparkled slightly in the light. "We call this celestial nectar," Zarthax announced. "We have carefully crafted it to be compatible with human biology while introducing you to flavors from our world. Please everyone take a glass for a toast to our new partnership, the humans." Applauded politely as glasses were distributed. Carol watched carefully as Ambassador Miller received his. Something felt wrong, but she had no proof, only suspicion. Dr. Samantha Blackwood, a biologist sitting nearby, sniffed her glass curiously. Her eyes widened slightly as she tilted the glass, examining the liquid closely. "Wait," Dr. Blackwood whispered, but her voice was lost in the noise as Zarthax began the toast. "To peace between our worlds and prosperity for all," the alien announced, raising his own glass filled with a different blue liquid. As humans throughout the room prepared to drink, Carol made a decision. She moved quickly to Ambassador Miller's side and knocked the glass from his hand. The red liquid splashed across the white tablecloth. "Lieutenant Winters," Miller gasped. "What are you doing?" "Don't drink it," Carol said firmly. "Something's wrong. Look at the aliens. They're watching us too closely, waiting for something to happen." Around the room, people had already started drinking. Carol expected to see them collapse, but nothing dramatic happened. Some coughed slightly. Others commented on the unusual taste, but no one seemed harmed. Zarthax approached quickly. "Is there a problem, Ambassador?" Before Miller could answer, Dr. Blackwood joined them. "This drink contains compounds not found on Earth," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. "Why didn't you tell us what was in it before serving it?" For the first time, Carol saw uncertainty in the alien's large black eyes. "It is simply a ceremonial beverage," Zarthax said. "We assured it was safe for human consumption." "Safe isn't the same as honest," Carol said. "What were you expecting to happen when we drank it?" The room had grown quiet. Other Zarelians seemed to be communicating silently among themselves, their postures suddenly stiff and alert. "Perhaps," Ambassador Miller said slowly, "we should postpone the rest of tonight's festivities until we fully understand what's in this drink." That's when Carol knew her instincts had been right. The Zarelians had planned something, but whatever it wasn't working as they expected. Silence filled the room as humans and Zarelians stared at each other. The friendly atmosphere from earlier had vanished. Ambassador Miller cleared his throat and addressed the crowd. "I think we should pause this celebration until we understand exactly what we've been served," he said, his diplomatic voice hiding his concern. Carol Winters stood firmly beside him, hand resting near her sidearm. She watched as the Zarelians exchanged glances. Their black eyes revealed nothing, but their body language showed tension. Zarthax raised his four-fingered hands in a gesture meant to calm the situation. "There is no cause for alarm. The celestial nectar is simply a customary drink we share with new allies. It contains mild stimulants similar to your coffee. Dr. Blackwood stepped forward, holding up her glass. Then you won't mind if I take this to the ship's lab for testing? Of course not, Zarthak said smoothly. Though I regret, this misunderstanding has ruined our celebration. Around the room, humans who had already drunk the red liquid seemed fine. Some were talking excitedly about its unusual taste. Others appeared slightly flushed but otherwise normal. I feel great, said one senator, smiling broadly. It's like wine with an extra kick. Reminds me of that homebrew my uncle makes, added a general. Strong stuff, but not bad. Carol frowned. If the aliens had meant to poison everyone, they had failed. But why did they look so confused by the humans' reactions, Doctor? Blackwood discreetly pulled Carol aside. Something's not right, she whispered. I've been studying their biology. The compounds in this drink should act as a sedative on human nervous systems. They expected us to be falling asleep by now. Carol nodded. We need to alert Earth immediately. Can you get to a communication station? I'll try, Blackwood replied. Meet me in 15 minutes near the shuttle bay. As the doctor slipped away, Carol watched Zarthax move among the human guests. The alien leader seemed to be assessing them, perhaps looking for signs of the drink's effects. Ambassador Miller joined Carol. Lieutenant, I owe you an apology. Your instincts were right. Thank you, sir, but we're not safe yet. We need to get everyone back to Earth. Miller nodded. I'll speak with General Russell about cutting this visit short. Keep your eyes open. Before Carol could respond, the lights in the room dimmed suddenly. A low humming noise filled the air, making her ears pop. Screens along the walls activated, showing images of space. With horror, Carol realized what she was seeing. A fleet of Zorellian ships decloaking near Earth's moon. It's an invasion force, she whispered. The human guests began to notice the screens as well. Confused murmurs turned to alarmed shouts. General Russell pushed through the crowd toward Zarthax. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. The alien diplomat drew himself up to his full height. I regret that our peaceful approach has failed. The celestial nectar should have rendered you all unconscious by now. Your resistance is unexpected. You tried to poison us? Miller asked, his face pale with shock. Not poison, Zarthax corrected. Simply incapacitate. Your world holds strategic value, and we prefer to take control without bloodshed. Carol stepped forward. Well, that plan failed. Whatever you put in those drinks barely affected us. Zarthax tilted his head. Yes, this is most puzzling. The compound has subdued 3 other species we've encountered. Yet you humans seem almost immune. A female Zorellian hurried to Zarthax's side and whispered something in their language. The alien leader's expression changed to one of surprise. Impossible, he said. Scan them again. Carol turned to Miller. Sir, we need to leave now. Dr. Blackwood is heading for the shuttle bay. Before Miller could respond, security doors slid shut across all exits. Zarthax's voice echoed through the room. I apologize, but no one will be returning to Earth tonight. Your planet's defenses are minimal compared to our fleet. Surrender now and we promise humane treatment. General Russell wasn't having it. You underestimate us, alien. Earth has been preparing for threats like you since we first looked at the stars. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The screens showing the Zorellian fleet now displayed new objects. Earth's orbital defense platforms activating and moving into position. What's happening? Zarthax demanded of his crew. Carol allowed herself a small smile. Seems like we're not as helpless as you thought. The ship shuddered as something struck it. The lights flickered briefly. Carol seized the moment of confusion to draw her sidearm. Ambassador General, this way, she called, pointing to a service corridor she had noted earlier during her security sweep. As the 3 of them slipped away from the main hall, chaos erupted. Other military personnel among the guests were taking action too, overpowering the surprised Zorellian guards. The aliens had clearly expected to face sedated, helpless humans, not alert, angry ones. Carol led them through narrow passages, following the emergency route she had memorized. They encountered 2 Zorellian crew members who tried to stop them. General Russell, despite being in his 60s, moved with surprising speed, disarming one alien while Carol dealt with the other. "How did you know?" Miller asked as they hurried along. "About their plans?" "I didn't know for sure," Carol admitted. "But they showed too much interest in our drinks, especially alcohol. They kept taking samples, testing them. Now we know why." They reached a communication hub. Carol quickly disabled the lone technician inside and secured the door. "Can you contact Earth?" General Russell asked. "I'll try," Carol said, studying the alien controls. Their systems are different, but the basics should be similar. After several tense minutes, she managed to establish a connection to Earth's Defense Command. The face of Admiral Lisa Hernandez appeared on screen. "This is Admiral Hernandez. We've detected weapons fire near the Zorellian ship. Report status." "Admiral, this is Lieutenant Winters. The Zorellians attempted to drug the entire diplomatic party. They have an invasion fleet moving toward Earth. We're trapped on their ship." Hernandez nodded grimly. "We've detected their fleet. Defense platforms are engaging now. Can you provide any tactical information?" General Russell stepped forward. "Admiral, based on what we've seen, their ships rely heavily on energy shields. They expected us to be incapacitated, which suggests they don't have large ground forces. Prepared." "Understood. We're deploying all available ships. Hold tight. We'll get you out of there." The connection ended as another impact rocked the ship. Carol checked the corridor. "We should find Dr. Blackwood and get to the shuttle bay," she said. "If we can take control of a shuttle, we might be able to escape." As they moved through the ship, they encountered more humans who had broken free. The Zorellians were struggling to contain the situation. Whatever they had put in the drinks had affected some humans mildly, causing slight dizziness or euphoria, but nothing like the incapacitation they had planned. They found Dr. Blackwood near the lab, clutching a data device. "I've analyzed the drink," she said breathlessly. "It contains compounds similar to powerful sedatives, but they interact with human brain chemistry differently than the Zorellians expected." Miller looked confused. "Why didn't it work on us?" Blackwood smiled grimly. "Because humans have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years. Our bodies process toxins differently. What they thought would knock us out is actually weaker than a strong cocktail." "You mean they tried to drug us," Carol said, "but didn't realize humans are already used to stronger drinks?" "Exactly," Blackwood replied. "And I believe that's just the beginning of what they've miscalculated about humanity." The four humans moved quickly through the alien ship's corridors. Carol led the way, her military training guiding them toward the shuttle bay. Every few minutes, the ship shook as Earth's defense platforms fired upon the Zorellian fleet. "We need a plan once we reach the shuttles," General Russell said. "There will be guards." "I can help with that," said a voice from a side passage. Steve Jenkins stepped out, along with 3 other security officers. All had their weapons drawn. Carol smiled with relief. "Jenkins, how did you find us?" "Followed the trail of confused aliens," he replied with a grin. "Whatever they put in that drink didn't work how they planned. Most of our people are still functional, just a bit tipsy. We've been fighting back and freeing others." Dr. Blackwood nodded. "Their poison wasn't strong enough. Humans process toxins differently because of our diet and evolution." "Lucky us," Jenkins said. "The aliens look completely shocked that we're not all passed out." They continued together, toward the shuttle bay. Through the ship's windows, they could see the battle unfolding in space. Earth's defense ships, smaller but more numerous than the Zorellian vessels, were engaging the alien fleet. Bright flashes of weapons fire lit up the darkness. Earth was more prepared than they thought, Miller observed. "We've been building orbital defenses quietly for decades," General Russell explained. "Always hoped we wouldn't need them." When they reached the shuttle bay, they found chaos. Human guests were fighting with Zorellian crew members. Some aliens were retreating, clearly surprised by the humans' resistance. Carol spotted an opportunity. "There, that shuttle looks ready for launch." As they moved toward it, Zarthax appeared with 6 armed guards. The alien leader looked angry now, his smooth, diplomatic manner gone. "You will not leave this ship," he declared. "Surrender now." "Not happening," Carol replied, raising her weapon. Before either side could fire, the ship rocked violently, Emergency lights flashed as artificial gravity flickered. Everyone struggled to stay upright. Direct hit to their engines, Jenkins said, checking a data pad he'd taken from a fallen alien. Earth forces are breaking through their lines. Zarthax barked orders to his guards in their language. 3 moved to block the shuttle while the others aimed weapons at the humans. "This is not how we wanted this to proceed," Zarthax said. "Your species was supposed to submit peacefully. Why aren't you affected by the sedative compound?" Dr. Blackwood stepped forward boldly. "Because humans have been poisoning ourselves, for fun for thousands of years. Your powerful sedative is weaker than what we drink at parties." Zarthax seemed genuinely confused. "Impossible. The compound works on all tested species." "Well, it doesn't work on us," General Russell said. "Humans have built up tolerance to all sorts of toxins. What kills other species might just give us a slight buzz. And now," Carol added, "you've made a big mistake." As if to emphasize her point, another explosion rocked the ship. The lights went out completely for several seconds before emergency power kicked in. Jenkins saw his chance. He fired at the ceiling above the alien guards, causing panels to fall. In the confusion, Carol and the other security officers rushed forward. A brief but intense fight followed. The humans, despite being diplomats and officers with minimal combat gear, fought with surprising effectiveness. Carol found herself face to face with Zarthax. The alien was stronger than he looked, easily deflecting her first attack. But Carol had been in tough situations before. She fainted left, then dropped low and swept his legs. As Zarthax fell, she pressed her weapon against his neck. "Order your forces to stand down," she demanded. Around them, the other humans had subdued. The remaining guards. Ambassador Miller approached cautiously. "It's over, Zarthax," he said. "Your plan failed." The alien leader stared at them with those unsettling black eyes. "You were supposed to be an easy conquest. Our intelligence indicated humans were divided, weak. How could we have misjudged so badly?" "You saw what you wanted to see," Miller replied. "Yes, humans fight among ourselves, but we unite quickly against outside threats." Using Zarthax as leverage, they secured the shuttle. Dr. Blackwood worked with Jenkins to figure out the alien controls while Carol and General Russell kept watch over their prisoner. "Your fleet is losing," Russell told Zarthax, showing him the battle display. Earthships were now surrounding the Zarelian vessels. Some alien ships were retreating while others had been disabled. "How is this possible?" Zarthax asked, more to himself than to the humans. "Your technology is inferior to ours." "Technology isn't everything," Carol said. "Tactics matter too, and you made a basic tactical error." "What error?" "You underestimated your enemy." As Jenkins prepared the shuttle for launch, Admiral Hernandez's voice came through on an emergency channel. "Ambassador Miller, this is Earth Command. We've gained the upper hand against the alien fleet. What's your status?" Miller took the communicator. "We've secured a shuttle and have the Zarelian leader as our prisoner, requesting permission to return to Earth." "Granted. We'll provide escort. Well done up there." As the shuttle launched from the bay, they had a clear view of the battle. Several Zarelian ships were disabled, drifting in space. Others were surrounded by Earth vessels. Only a few had managed to jump away to safety. "I still don't understand," Zarthax said as he watched his fleet's defeat. "The compound in the celestial nectar should have incapacitated you all." Dr. Blackwood had been examining data from her device. She looked up with a slight smile. "Actually, I figured out exactly what happened. The main component in your sedative is chemically similar to ethanol, the active ingredient in our alcoholic drinks. But it's much weaker than the vodka, whiskey, or even strong wine that many humans consume regularly." "You're saying we actually have a higher tolerance because we drink alcohol?" Jenkins asked. "Precisely," Blackwood nodded. "Humans have been consuming fermented beverages for at least 10,000 years. We've evolved enzymes to break down these compounds efficiently. What would knock out another species just gave humans a slight buzz." Carol laughed. "So they poisoned our wine, only to learn we're already used to stronger drinks. Even Ambassador." Miller smiled at the irony. A good thing many of us enjoy the occasional nightcap. As their shuttle approached Earth, escorted by military vessels, they could see that the planet was safe. The Zarelian invasion had failed before it truly began. What will happen to me? Zarthax asked quietly. That's for international courts to decide, Miller replied, but I imagine you'll be treated better than you plan to treat us. The alien looked out at Earth growing larger in the viewport. We have much to learn about humans, it seems. Yes, Carol agreed. Starting with this. Never try to outdrink. A species that turns poison into party beverages. As they prepared to land, reports came in from around the world. Other Zarelian ships that had attempted to land troops in various countries had been repelled. Earth had united against the common threat, just as humans had done countless times throughout their violent history. Dr. Blackwood sat beside Carol as they entered Earth's atmosphere. You know what's really interesting? Their miscalculation goes beyond just alcohol tolerance. They failed to understand something fundamental about humanity. What's that? Carol asked. The very things that make us sometimes frightening to ourselves. Our ability to consume toxins, our history of conflict, our quick aggression when threatened. These things protected us today. Our weaknesses and our strengths are sometimes the same thing. The Zarelians never understood that. Carol nodded as the shuttle touched down on Earth. Let's hope they learn their lesson. Don't pick a fight with a species that drinks for fun what would kill others. The weeks following the failed Zarelian invasion were busy for everyone involved. Earth governments worked together to secure the captured alien ships and technology. Scientists studied the alien biology and weapons. Military forces remained on high alert in case more Zarelian ships arrived. Carol Winters found herself suddenly famous. News reports called her the woman who saved Earth because she had been the first to suspect the aliens' plan. She didn't enjoy the attention, but understood its importance for public morale. I was just doing my job, she told reporters for the 100th time during a press conference at the United Nations headquarters. And I wasn't alone. Dr. Blackwood, Ambassador Miller, and many others played crucial roles too. Speaking of Dr. Blackwood, the scientist had barely left her lab since returning to Earth. She led the team studying the celestial nectar and Zarelian biology. Her findings had stunned the scientific community. 1 month after the failed invasion, Carol visited Blackwood's lab. She found the scientists surrounded by screens filled with chemical formulas and biological data. How's it going? Carol asked. Samantha Blackwood looked up with tired eyes but a satisfied smile. Amazing, actually. The more we learn about the Zarelians, the more we understand why their plan failed so badly. She pointed to a screen showing 2 molecular structures side by side. This is ethanol, the alcohol in our drinks. This is the compound they used in the celestial nectar. The structures are similar, but their compound is much simpler. Our livers process it easily. So what would knock out an alien just gives humans a slight buzz, Carol said. Exactly. But it's not just alcohol tolerance. Human bodies are remarkably resilient compared to most species. We can eat foods that would kill other creatures. We recover from injuries that would be fatal to others. The Zarelians never understood this. Carol nodded. Where is Zarthax being held? At the secure facility in Geneva. I've been consulting there too. Would you like to come with me tomorrow? He's been asking to speak with you. The next day, Carol and Samantha arrived at the facility where Zarthax was kept. It wasn't a traditional prison, more like a secure research center. The alien had his own living quarters, access to information about Earth, and regular medical checkups. Guards escorted them to a meeting room where Zarthax waited. The alien looked different than Carol remembered, smaller somehow, less intimidating. Lieutenant Winters, he said, standing as they entered. Dr. Blackwood, thank you for coming. Carol studied him carefully. You wanted to see me? Yes. I believe humans call it giving credit where credit is due. You saw through our deception when others did not. Carol sat across from him. I just noticed patterns. You showed too much interest in our drinks but never consumed any yourselves. Zarthax nodded. A mistake among many. We assumed our intelligence on humans was complete. We were wrong. Why did you target Earth? Samantha asked. Your planet sits at a strategic position near several space lanes. We've been expanding our territory for centuries. Usually, we prefer peaceful integration of new species, but our recent leadership has been more aggressive. You mean you've done this before, Carol said. Drugged other species and taken over. 3 times. All successful. None of those species had your unique biological adaptations or your capacity for organized resistance. Carol leaned forward. And now? Your invasion failed. What happens next? That depends on your leaders, and mine. Zarthax looked down at his 4-fingered hands. I've been in contact with my government. The failure here has caused a political shift. The more peaceful factions are regaining influence. So no more invasion attempts? Samantha asked skeptically. No. But perhaps something more valuable. A real alliance. One based on mutual respect rather than conquest. Before Carol could respond, her phone buzzed. It was Ambassador Miller. Lieutenant, we need you at the UN immediately. More Zorellian. Ships have entered the solar system. Carol's body tensed. Are they attacking? No. They're maintaining orbit beyond Mars. They're asking to talk. Within hours, Carol found herself back at the United Nations. This time she sat at the main table alongside Ambassador Miller, General Russell, and Dr. Blackwood. On screens around the room, the images of new Zorellian ships appeared, larger and more impressive than the invasion fleet. A transmission came through. The alien on screen looked similar to Zarthax but wore more elaborate robes with different markings. I am Supreme Counselor Vexel of the Zorellian Coalition, the alien announced. I come seeking peaceful dialogue with Earth's leadership. Ambassador, Miller stepped forward. I am Frank Miller, representing the United Nations of Earth. We approach this dialogue with caution, given recent events. The alien nodded. Understandable. The actions taken against your world were not sanctioned by our full government. Those responsible have been removed from power. General Russell snorted quietly. Convenient timing. Vexel continued. We wish to negotiate the release of our citizens, recovery of our vessels, and establishment of proper diplomatic relations. And why should we trust you? Carol asked directly. The alien's black eyes fixed on her. You must be Lieutenant Winters. Zarthax has spoken of you. You've talked to him? Yes. His reports have been most illuminating. Humans are not what we believed. You are more resilient, more unified when threatened. You turned what should have been your weakness into strength. Dr. Blackwood spoke up. You mean our tolerance for toxins? Among other things, Vexel replied. In our studies of sentient species, we've found that most evolve on gentle worlds. Yours is unusually harsh. You've adapted to poisons, extreme weather, high gravity, and constant conflict. This makes you unique. Ambassador Miller crossed his arms. Uniquely hard to conquer, you mean? Precisely. The alien made a gesture that might have been respect. The faction that attempted to take your world did not understand this. They saw your divisions and conflicts as weakness. They failed to see how quickly you unite against outside threats. Carol looked around the room at the other human representatives. Despite coming from different countries and backgrounds, they had indeed united quickly when facing the Zorellian threat. So what happens now? She asked. We propose a treaty, Vexel said. True exchange of knowledge and technology. No tricks, no conquests. We have much to learn from each other. Hours of discussion followed. Security measures were debated, verification, protocols established. Throughout it all, Carol watched the aliens closely, looking for signs of deception. She found none. As the meeting ended, Ambassador Miller pulled Carol aside. What do you think, Lieutenant? Can we trust them this time? Carol considered the question carefully. I think they learned an important lesson. They tried to conquer us by exploiting what they thought was a weakness. Instead, they discovered we're stronger than they realized. The celestial nectar incident. Yes. They poisoned our wine. only to learn humans were already accustomed to stronger drinks. Carol smiled slightly. Sometimes our greatest strengths come from the challenges we've faced. Miller nodded. I'll keep that in mind during negotiations. Outside the UN building, reporters waited eagerly for news. Carol slipped away, avoiding the cameras. She wasn't interested in fame. Her job was to keep watching, to stay vigilant. As she walked through the evening streets, she looked up at the stars. Earth had faced its first alien threat and survived. Humans had proven stronger than anyone, including themselves, had expected. Whatever came next, she felt confident they would be ready. And perhaps next time, if aliens offered drinks, humans would bring their own to share. After all, it seemed the galaxy had much to learn about humanity's unique talents, including our ability to turn poisons into pleasures.